It's been said the whole world is a stage and everybody plays a part. But the question remains, who's writing the script?
That the woman is also like the fortifier of the man. And so, and really and truly, a woman can either build him up or break him down.
When you look at the media and you see an image of a man, he's usually the breadwinner, he's usually in charge, he's usually in control of what's going on around him.
And it's not necessarily a direct projection, but just this idea, men are no good, men are bad, and that message, I think can have a very negative impact on the minds of young boys.
Is manhood a defined set of characteristics one must grow into, or is it an ongoing process of self-discovery?
Welcome to Around the Fire.
Sandy Pope.
Hi.
Sandy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let me see. I'm the president and the CEO of my company, Sister for Clean Water. And Sister is CISTA, and it's commit to good health and wellness, invest in yourself, share with others, team up, and activate a plan.
Hello, my name's Lorna Myrie, and I am a social worker. I've had a career also as a corporate administrator, and presently I'm actually a carer for my father, and in adjunct to that I'm also working with a charitable organization that's mentoring young girls.
And Miss Tammy Purnell, how are you?
Hi, I am Tammy Purnell. I am a wedding coordinator, wedding officiant, something I absolutely love.
And Miss Krista Hayes.
Hello, my name is Krista Hayes. I'm a consultant living here in New York City, originally from the South.
Guy Hobson, I'm from Philadelphia originally. I've been in the New York City area about 30 years. My business is a life coach and career coach, and primarily focused on helping people discover their ideal career.
My name is Sheikh. I'm still a student at John Jay. Yeah, I have one more year, and I teach, I tutor part-time political science and U.S. government.
That is a two-part question, because I have my reality, and then I have my truth.
Okay.
So my truth is going to be the protector, the shield, the guardian, the personal keeper. And then my reality is of what we see in culture, which is a broken down version.
The first thing that popped in my head, the whole Wakanda thing, right?
Yes.
And I just thought about the picture of Black Panther and Wakanda and the image of manhood from that perspective. That's just the first thing that popped in my head.
Okay.
And to me, what that embodies is strength, character, someone who is committed to principle and lives their life by their own principles and internal truth and a foundation for that. So, and that's the ideal, right? That's just sort of an ideal version of it. But truthfully, to me, a man is also someone who is able to be honest about what he's feeling and thinking and express it. And, I like to say a man should be fearless, but I don't know if that's even accurate as I say that, because maybe there are some things for us to fear.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, it plays a part in this experience here.
Sure.
And it could be a healthy thing at times.
Sure, yeah. Just based on what's going on around your space and being aware of what's going on around you.
A leader, someone that's a leader of the family, professional business person, mostly a leader.
Okay.
In the African American community, because I think man in other ethnicities have different meanings. So initially, when I hear a man, I'm thinking somebody who's the leader of the family, who will elevate the family. It's a family thing for me.
I think being responsible and being respectful is two really main things.
A protector.
Protector.
Someone that I know is going to protect me, protect our family, protect our home. Just make sure that everything is going to be okay for us.
A friend and a partner, because I think that without that friendship and partnership, there's no opportunity to negotiate some of this brokenness, because the brokenness isn't only in men, it's within us also. And so I really think that without the foundation of partnership and friendship, it's very, very difficult to navigate some of the challenges that men face in terms of fulfilling their role and meeting that the real in terms of what we would expect a man to be.
Yes.
But I think as a man, we also have to focus on really taking care of our own and our communities and our children and our wives and our women and also our other brothers.
I think a partnership is a key word, because I think if we thought of ourselves with our partners, then I don't think they would be too intimidated when we want to go into business or expand or excel. So I think partnership is good, but I don't think that our men believe in our partnership, because I think that they believe that they are who they are, and we are the second person in this unit. And to me, that's not a partnership. That's like he's over here and I'm over here. And I think that's where the friction comes in. So when you talk about man and manhood, I think they have to get a better understanding of what partnership is.
I think it's absolutely vital that young boys have male role models in their lives.
Absolutely.
Whether if as a single parent, if you have to look to an uncle, a cousin, a male friend, but it's really quite imperative that I think young boys have a male model, who's present in their life, who can really, because what we can articulate is one thing, but the man embodies manhood, and they can model that. How to walk, how to talk, how to be amongst men. A mother can't teach her son how to be amongst men, and how to be amongst men without having to be in a clique or a gang with this machismo and the need to be, demonstrating that through violence and aggression within the community. And I think some of that could be obfuscated if young men actually had models, somebody who they could trust, feel safe. And I think safety and security is something that we've spoken about earlier, is really very important for young men. So how do you model, how do you become a man without becoming violent and aggressive, modeling that without repressing your emotions, and feel safe. Feel safe, feel strong and independent. And you can see that modeled in other men, in the family, in the environment, then I think that is invaluable to young boys.
Positive role models.
Positive role models.
My mother was like, I can't tell you how to be a man. I can't show you how to be a man. You're going to have to find some male role models that really kind of help you with that.
Okay.
I think because as little boys, they're taught to not show feelings.
Okay.
Not to express feelings. Don't be a little punk. Don't do this. Don't.
Yeah.
They need to understand that that's okay.
That they're emotional beings
But they can,
as well.
It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to express your feeling.
Yes.
And that's not being a punk.
Right.
Controlling your emotions plays a big part. You should have control of your emotions. You shouldn't let your emotions interfere with what you're doing. Like, say, you had a bad day at your family or at work. You shouldn't take that emotion out on someone else that doesn't deserve it.
Okay.
So having the control of your emotions is really important.
They gotta have a plan set when they as a child or baby growing up, and young man, when he gets 12, 13, whatever it is, there is some plan for him. There's no
Okay.
plan. I
So
think.
what I'm picking up from what you're saying is there's a rite of passage that needs to be somewhat implemented in the raising of a man.
Yeah.
That is so true. And
Yes.
I actually know from my home community a pastor who has 3 sons. And he did for all 3 of them, he did a coming of age ceremony
There you
for
go.
one of their birthdays. And like they have grown up. I think the oldest one now is like a sophomore or a junior in college. And they're all turning out to be fantastic young men
Yes.
that are growing up, doing well in school, straight A's, athletes, and whatnot. Because he did set parameters for what they were supposed to be.
Yes.
Plan of action. Yeah.
It's interesting. I saw Iyanla Vanzant do that with a group of men,
Yes.
grown men. She did a rite of passage for them. And she had some very influential men there too.
Oh, I did
you
see
see
that.
that?
I
It
did
was
see that.
amazing.
Yes.
I thought it was amazing
Yes.
because they had lost their way. And that rite of passage helped them to get back on the right track.
Right.
Yes.
And to find themselves and where they needed to be going in life.
Yes. Yes.
Experience is a big key when it comes to forming a man like who you are.
Okay.
Experience and people you surround yourself with plays a big role. And the way you think, it could be religious, it could be the way you think politically, you know. So that's one of the ways, a man can be formed, just by who you are.
Okay.
You wanna go
Well,
first?
they shape us. Again, I come from a family of strong women. My mother is one of 3 sisters, the eldest of 6 kids, 4 girls and 2 boys. And I have a lot of female cousins and a lot of male cousins. But growing up in my family, the women were there. So you had a strong female personality, and as a child, that's fine. But when you become a teenager, you kind of start rebelling against that because you really want some influence from the men in your life. And if you don't have that, then that female image can really become not annoying, but just you feel like it's holding you back.
I think as women, we have to encourage our young men, our young black boys, from a young age. Encourage them to be great. Encourage them to be respectful. We teach them those things as women. And yes, they learn to be men from their fathers. They do need that encouragement from them as well. And in what you said, as far as not speaking ill words about the father, about that parent, children form their own opinions, and young men form their own opinions.
From childhood on, most of the time you're with your mother. So that's shaping you all the way. And if your mother doesn't have a good image of your dad, that also could have some impact on how she interacts with you.
Yes.
Or not.
As mothers, particularly in an environment where the father may not be present in the home, I think it's really, really important, one, to not project any anger, bitterness, resentment that you may hold towards the father onto the boy child, because I think that that's a common pattern that tends to happen. And so a lot of anger and gets projected onto young males. And it's not necessarily a direct projection, but just this idea, men are no good, men are bad, and that message, I think can have a very negative impact on the minds of young boys.
Who was it? I heard someone say, what is it? Black women raise their daughters and I forget what the word was that they do with their sons, but it's almost like they raise their daughters to take control, but they sort of baby their sons.
Yeah.
And, or make excuses for them. I've seen some women go over backwards to sort of coddle their sons.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas the girls, they make them grow up. You better get in there and handle your business, and that is not beneficial to that little boy growing up, because we really need to have some sternness behind what we're doing and some guidelines.
Yes.
And a lot of times, folks don't do that.
I also feel like that the woman is also like the fortifier of the man. And so, really and truly, a woman can either build him up or break him down. And that is, it's good and it's bad. Because, like earlier, complimented you on your cooking. You sat up straight, you had a smile on your face. And it was just like that extra that may have just needed to be said.
Yes.
And for us to be able to know how to wield that power and to be able to use it in a positive way so that it does build our men up instead of tearing them down. So I think it really can help with not having to fight internal battles at home while you're also trying to fight external battles with the world.
Say that again. That was great. Say that again,
Yes.
please.
So it's like, when we wield our power correctly, so we can really help build the men up to where they're not fighting with us at home, trying to either dominate the home in a way that is unnecessary and learn to be, cooperative and partners and actually create the partnership that is necessary in the home. And so while they're also trying to, especially with Black men, trying to validate your place in society and also who you are as a person when culture and society, especially America's society, is tearing you down.
There are images of manhood in the community that I think really stand out. And one, if I was thinking of like President Obama, of course, because he just always carried himself a certain way.
Yes.
And in the image of how he had to carry himself, he couldn't be an angry Black man. So he had to be aware of the impact of his projection to everyone else and to the world, really. But he always carried himself very well, I thought, and really exemplified true manhood.
I mean, the one that's the dead ringer is always Barack Obama.
Of course. That's always the first that comes to mind.
Okay.
Always.
Obvious choice number one.
Yes.
And so, just for the simple fact that against all the odds that he may have had, whether people felt like they were valid or not, they were valid for him. And with that, he still achieved the position of the highest in the land.
Okay.
So for that, it definitely shows that regardless of who you are, you can still go after what you want in life and be able to, if you can't, shoot for the stars, you still land them on the moon.
All right.
So with that, he's definitely choice number one.
Okay.
And he showed love. He showed love of his wife, love of his daughters, support of them, and allowing them to shine.
Okay.
And he was still strong. He was vulnerable at times, and that vulnerability is something that you don't see.
It takes courage.
Yes.
I look up to Cristiano Ronaldo. You guys know him?
Soccer player,
Soccer player,
correct?
Cristiano Ronaldo, yeah. I'm a big fan of him. He's mentally so focused in what he wants to do. I'm not going to say he's not the best. He's definitely one of the best. And he wants to be always on top. And he works his hard work and his ambitiousness. He takes care of people. He's generous. That's one of my role models.
Okay.
Sometimes, I'm not saying I'm not being myself, Sometimes I do look at things like, hey, what would Cristiano Ronaldo do in this situation? Or what would he do in this situation, And not saying I'm trying to be like him, but it's a way to improve yourself.
Okay.
I think for in terms of young men today, I look at some of the young artists who are coming up, and there's two that come to mind. One is J. Cole, and one is Kendrick Lamar. Because a lot of young people are very immersed into the hip hop rap culture, and it really is the defining culture now globally, and I think that they set an example for young people, because Kendrick Lamar just won a Pulitzer Prize.
Kendrick, definitely.
And I think that he's a perfect demonstration of the fact that you can be involved in a culture that expresses a lot of generally expresses a lot of misogyny, a lot of violence, a lot of aggression, and he is successful without feeding into that type of negative message. And I think that that's really important for young adolescent males to actually see that.
Yes.
And see that you can be successful without necessarily embracing that violence and aggression and misogyny. So I think as a young person, he's a wonderful role model for young males.
So for me, manhood has always been not about images of someone else but myself. So it's always been an internal concept about how I feel as a man I should project myself forward and have an impact on those around me. But there are images of manhood in the community that I think really stand out. And one, if I was thinking of Cleveland Cavaliers, what's his name? LeBron.
Oh, okay.
LeBron James. And wow, couldn't think of LeBron's name, right? But what stands out to me about him is how he always carries himself well and also takes care of his family and also gives back to the community. He's really heavily invested in the community. And to me, I think that particularly men of color, we have to be aware as a man of our presence, how we're being perceived. So it's almost like a dual understanding of your relationship to the world, if that makes any sense.
It does, because what you're saying is what you're putting out, you're getting feedback.
Sure, yeah.
So you're processing that as well in your representation.
Sure you are.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys. Maybe, throughout my life, every day or every at least once a week, maybe at least once a month. There's some time throughout your life you have to let out as a childish thing. Even by yourself with your friends drinking, you have to let something out.
Yes.
Coming from a 6-year-old attitude, coming from an 8-year-old attitude, something silly, I think everybody does that. You kind of have to let it out, and that's just, when you go back, it's reality and who you are.
Right.
Everybody has to let something out.
True.
Well, I think, I'm sorry,
No,
but
go.
I think that the inner child is really, I call it the wounded child. And I think that as parents, it's really important to create a safe environment where, there's open communication, because communication is really critical. Because I think that lots of times, children don't always communicate what they're feeling, and they don't always convey to you what it is that they're experiencing, because sometimes they feel that they have to protect you. And so you've got the young male child trying to be the protector in the home and defending mom and siblings, and so then he is shouldering this burden and doesn't always and sometimes, so I think that, children, young male children need to feel protected and safe in an environment where, whether they can speak to their mom or a male, who is standing in as a surrogate father in that environment, but they need to be able to communicate and, express those feelings.
And we as parents have to be open enough to listen.
Understand that, yes.
To listen to them and give them that space and give them that place where they can talk to us, and we are going to listen, and we are going to try to understand and then try to help heal that.
Yes. Yes. So if a man came to you and he'd say he's 40 or whatever, and he had that wound that he needed to express and heal, you would be open to allowing him to express whatever that pain is.
Definitely.
And allow that process to take place.
Because they need to be able to do that.
Yes, no matter what the package, it's the effect.
They need to be able to do that, because that may be the very thing that it's breaking down. That partnership, or that family, that inner child, that wound that he was never able to express to anyone, or to learn how to heal or deal with it.
Yes.
I'm a big kid, man. Sometimes I am so friggin' silly. Like, I have to check myself. Or I'll say something, I'm like, did you just say that? But what I find is, like, I can laugh at myself in such a big way. And I like to just play jokes on people and make people laugh, or say something really that no one expects. Because to me, you gotta have fun. If you're not having fun, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I believe life is to be lived. So I'm gonna live it to the best of my ability. And that little boy is just, he's there. I acknowledge him because he's a part of me, and he's what got me to where I am now, you know? So, I'm glad he's still there, because I feel like if I stop having fun, if I stop acting like a kid, then it's time to give it up.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I say that
Gay
again?
man be considered a man?
Okay.
A manhood is not defined by sexuality.
Okay.
Manhood is defined by who you are here.
Okay.
And your character.
You know, everything, they're hermetic principles. It's like, and one of the laws of the universe is the law of gender. Everything in this universe expresses male and female. Yeah, we as women, we have a masculine side, and the culture and society demands that we shift into that and move more into the linear left brain function, and then we have our feminine side, and men also have a feminine and masculine side. So, I think that to say a man who identifies as being gay is not a man, I personally, would not say he's not a man. He's clearly a man, But then now, then you want to go into deeper explanations. Now you're going into it's very murky waters, because it's slippery. I think everyone at the moment is struggling as we're moving into an environment that is very challenging, particularly in the education system, because now teachers are because it's going beyond is a gay man a man. Now we're questioning even gender.
To me, a man is really a real man is someone who operates from a sense of strength and honesty and being true to himself and presenting that to the world. And if you're true to yourself, then everything else can open up from there. So I think sexuality, for me, in my head, doesn't impact who a man is or isn't.
I think it's an ongoing process, definitely. Because they're always learning.
Okay.
They're always from outside influences, from in the home, from what they see on television. It's ongoing.
Okay.
It's an ongoing discovery.
Process of self-discovery.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. I've been a man all my life.
Thank you for joining us, viewers, and I hope you enjoyed your visit with us. So until next time we meet on Around the Fire, be safe, be well, and be empowered.